Okay. So, thank you for being patient. We had maybe some technical issues with the presentation, but now everything is fine. Thank you so much for your introductions. We are very happy to have you today. So, again, today the webinar will be focusing on how to create a successful local marketing strategy for next year. And I believe that all of you maybe heard already about us in part 2 and maybe what we do. So we will deep dive a bit more into what are the different best practices. And at the same time, in the end, we can talk a bit more about what we do. So just let me, there you go. I just want to check. Okay. So here are a few guidelines for interacting during the live session. So you can chat with us directly during the session like you're already doing, and you can ask all your questions in the question tab, so where you just did, at the bottom right of your screen. So for those who are already connected, thank you. For those who are going to be late, it's fine. So to briefly explain the process of this webinar, it's going to last for 30 minutes. And so we will start by presenting the evolutions in the purchasing journey. So by reviewing the different touch points you can have with clients. So the goal is really to give you all the keys on how to be found on different channels. Okay, so whether it's Google's local SEO, so it's the latest trend in social search, and the store locator of your website. So if those words are still maybe things that you're not familiar with, we're going to deep dive into what is a store locator, what is social search, etc. So to go further, in addition to being found by consumers, you need to be able to engage your customers and encourage them to come into the store, okay, by simplifying their decision-making process. So you have to help them choose you. And this requires a well-managed e-reputation, okay, and also a smooth customer experience through instant messaging. So today, consumers, they really want you to be at their proximity, to be really engaging with them.
Yeah, thanks, Ramia. So, yes, as mentioned by Ramia, the first step in the purchasing journey is to be found by your customers. And obviously, to do so, it's essential to ensure your visibility and whatever the marketing channel you use. So, the purchasing journeys are evolving. And let's start by taking a step back and looking at how the buying journey is evolving today. We're moving from simple sales path with a search and a visit to the store to increasingly complex and omni-channel paths with multiple points of contact, whether directly in the search results on your website, with searches for points of sales on your store locator, or on social networks with searches directly on maps such as Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok. And obviously, there are some examples by platforms. So different platforms are being used by different age groups, from one generation to another. For the same search, either users will not have the same reactions, whether they're millennials, baby boomers, or from the Generation Z. So, as we said, there are two types of local searches. They're the brand searches, and this is the searches from internet users that are directly looking at your brand, and they're really aware of your brand. And they're the discovery searches, and this is from internet users that are looking for a product but are not aware of which specific brand they want to choose. In this type of search, you can make the difference as it consists another 50%. So this represents a major opportunity for you to acquire new clients. The question is, how do I appear in the discovery searches? So if you're interested in ranking higher on the search engines like Google, there are three main factors that you need to take care of in order to succeed. First of all is data management. You have to make sure that all your information on your profiles on Google listings is complete and correct. For example, the name of the business, the address, the phone number, the opening and closing hours. Second of all, you have to optimize this information, and you have to make sure that you use all the add-ons that are being displayed on your Google business listings. For example, the attributes and categories. This gives a positive signal to the search engines, and you can rank higher again. And third is the reputation. You have to have a good e-reputation, as it is very important in helping your business appearing on the local pack. So it's very crucial on answering all reviews and messages, even they're positive or negative. A bit of stats here. 34% of internet users are visiting a business within a week of requesting a direction to the business, and 29% even come on the same day. So these are some insight into your consumer research conducted by Episto. It's an independent polling institute, and really shows the power of local SEO and the importance of web search. So you have to boost your position in search results by multi-distribution of information from businesses on a wide range of platforms: Snapchat, Google, Facebook, Bing, Apple Maps. You have to make use of all these platforms, and you have to make sure that all the information appear the same on all platforms. This makes it more likely to be found in the search results. It's very important to centralize your Google My Business listings for an easy optimization and data diffusion across the multiple platforms, and expand your reach. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important to provide information for your point of sales, for your physical stores. What kind of information? Any information that is needed by an internet user to decide between two establishments that fulfill the same need. For example, the address of the business, again, the telephone number, the operating hours. Believe it or not, there are a lot of businesses, even big chains and supermarket chains, that are not updating their opening and closing hours, for example, in times like Christmas periods or bank holidays. And customers are being confused, and there are a lot of money being lost if a huge supermarket doesn't update the opening and closing hours, even for 1 hour. Even if 1 hour is being lost, it's a crazy loss, and there is no reason to lose this money. So yes, and of course, if you're a retailer, you can also link the products with a Google My Business listings. And once adjacent information has been added to your listings, it is important to optimize them as much as possible. The objective is to provide a maximum amount of information to internet users to help them decide between the several establishments. So again, this will bring you forward to your competition. And a really good way to start is to add the categories, secondary URLs, photos, indicate exceptional operating times, etc. Back to Rami.
Thank you, George. So I hope everything was clear. If you have any questions regarding the data management, the multi-diffusion, the optimization, and how consumers are, or maybe how the Google algorithm also is currently working and is what it is expecting from you, you can ask your questions on the chat, or you can reach out directly to me, to George, in order to discuss this. So now let's talk about the rise of social search. So this is the slides. So thank you, George. Now to conclude this part, we couldn't ignore the rise of the social search. So with Web 2.0, the content production has taken a new dimension. Okay, we are now talking about user-generated content. So we have gone from the era of the websites on which the content was produced by companies to a completely new model where most of the content started to come from internet users. So I'm sure that you're all aware of that. But what's impressive is that 90% of the data generated worldwide has been generated over the last 2 years. So this is actually a crazy data that I think you all need to keep in mind, because everything is changing super fast and the consumers are gaining the power. So this is due to three things. First, it's the usage of the photos on smartphones. So today, everyone can take pictures and generate the content. The second thing is sharing online reviews. This is something that is happening much more today. And the third thing, it's the news feeds on social networks. Okay, so those are the three main points. Just to move forward. So we have more and more local content on social networks. So we shouldn't ignore that the trend, this trend, and we should start building your presence, so all of your business presence on these new platforms on which the internet users are doing more and more local searches. So we noticed a shift from the website into searches on platforms. So for example, TikTok, let's say, is testing the new nearby feature where it generates content for nearby stores or locations. And the second thing is, for example, generating content that is close to your location. Same thing as the Snapchat. Snapchat My Places that you may know. So giving location recommendations on Snapchat for places that you already visited, or maybe you have users or friends that are on Snapchat that also visited. You also have, for example, the popular places in the community. So those are things that are generated by users and that are present on those platforms. So it's important to have a partner, whether it's Partout or whoever you choose. You need a partner to broadcast on all these platforms. And so this is what we do as well. We broadcast on Google, but also on Snapchat, Instagram, Apple Maps. So we have around 30 platforms where we automatically broadcast all your data and your locations on them. So to show you an example of a business listing on Snapchat, so it appears the same as like a classic business listing on Google. So you have the same information, and then hence so the importance of updating it and broadcasting it on as many platforms as possible. You can notice that Google also fetches data from those platforms. So when it sees that on your Google listing, you have the same data as on Snapchat, on Apple Maps, etc., it will rank you higher and it will trust your data more. So the advantage of Partout, so you have the possibility to upload all your establishments in bulk on our platform, and then you multi-diffuse it on Snap Map, on Apple Maps, all the 30 platforms that we can send to you later on. And this is something also that you need to note, that today, if you want to upload data on any type of platform, you are maybe mostly doing it manually, so it's taking a lot of time. And for example, on Snapchat, you will have to do it one by one. So this is also going to maybe not be practical for you. So we have a question here. Will the presentation be shared afterwards, or do we need to take notes? We can share with you the presentation later on, and you can take notes. You can even write on the chat if you have more questions that we can answer at the end. And we can even plan a meeting if you want on 1-1 if you want to discuss specific cases. Okay, so now let's discuss the store locator and the importance of it. So as well as your presence so it's important to have a store locator, okay, that is easy in terms of UX for consumers, but also optimized for your SEO, okay? A store locator is really important function for increasing the traffic on your website. You have 20% of your website traffic that comes from your store locator. So for those who are asking themselves, what is a store locator? So I'm just gonna skip the slides. So first, the store locator is your search. It's like a search engine that allows you to find a point of sale using a search bar, a map, or filters. So it's literally the map that is integrated in your website or your application. So you can know that in the store locator, you have mini sites for each point of sale that allows you to manage your own specific content. So again, to upload the data about the name, the addresses, so what else, the opening hours, etc. So this is just an example of one of our clients, Foire La Fouille. So to make it a little bit more concrete, you can see that the old store locator of this client was not optimized at all for SEO. So it had a lack of content. It was not synchronized with Google Maps, for example. It had a non-optimized structure. So we have a specific way of updating your store locator in order to be read by Google and by the other platforms to rank you higher than competitors. And how we were able to help them. So we created an SEO optimized store locator. So we built it from scratch, or we optimized it. We centralized the data on the Part2 application. So everything can be optimized and make sure that in real time, if they change, for example, opening hours, like George said, during bank holidays, automatically it updates on your website store locator and on all the other platforms. And also we created a mobile and desktop version. So this is important also for the user friendliness for consumers to make sure that it's optimized everywhere. So in terms of results, we noticed an average of 10,000 sessions per day on the store locator, which is quite huge. We created for them 250 establishment pages. So because you have different, point of sales or shops, so we created the 250 establishments with different content. We also noticed 37,000 tags, so clicks per month, and 4,000 call to actions. Okay, so it depends on the phones, directions, visits. So to conclude, on the store locator, it can really make a difference, and a high performance solution, we can consider it as a very high performance solution implemented. So now we're going to go on the second part. It's how to get you chosen. So once you have been found by consumers, by everything we spoke about just right now, the important thing is to be also chosen, not only found. So it's important to make this decision-making process as smooth as possible by improving your online reputation. So here we're going to help consumers choose you based on your e-reputation. So early this year, we conducted a consumer study with an independent research company called Episto, which we think you will find interesting. That's why we included it in the presentation. To give you more insight on the consumer side, the objective was to understand the customer review habits, okay? So here, you may still ask yourself, so why is it important to reply to reviews to improve your e-reputation? So here are 4 reasons. The first one is to strengthen your customer relations. The second is to reach a wider audience. The third one is to deliver important messages. And the fourth one is to improve your SEO. So here also, when Google sees that you're interacting, you're answering the reviews to your consumers, it will rank you higher automatically. This is how the algorithm works. So there are 2 main statistics that are worth noting. The main findings of those studies were, first, that reviews are a real lever for a consumer decision-making process. So 76% say that the rating and the reviews have a direct impact on their decision-making, which is huge. And the second point is that the average rating is a real obstacle for consumers. So 79% believe that they will not visit an establishment that has a rating below than 3.5, compared to 60% last year. So even for us, with our clients, our aim is always to even not have a rating of 3.5, it's to have 4.2 and above to make sure that we are ahead of competitors. So this is just a little note for you. So to help you position yourself in terms of e-reputation, it is important to make an initial diagnosis to set up a real action plan. So the first thing is to reply to your reviews. So maybe you can also share with us if you are replying to your reviews, if that's something that you want to do, maybe in the chat if you want to share with us this thing. So to reply to reviews, we have to have a real strategy in replying the reviews. So which reviews are we going to prioritize? Are they most the negative, the positive, the neutral ones? Which KPIs to follow? So is it maybe the timing that you are answering the reviews rate, maybe? So you have different strategies that you can implement to increase your scoring and your e-reputation. The second point is to define a real e-reputation strategy. So not only on Google, but also on other platforms that matter, like Facebook, TripAdvisor, so all the type of platforms that you consult to see the reputation of a business. So it's really about giving a hand to the local. So this is something also that maybe your local, so your store managers, your branch managers can also handle and monitor their KPIs to see if their branch, for example, or their store is doing well. And also the third point is to go even further. So find the challenges to improve on your, so what are the challenges that you need to improve on to have an average rating that is higher. So award for the best establishments, maybe you can find some type of review booster to give out your consumers some QR code where they can use it to give you reviews. And also the most important part is to analyze the reviews and to get real-time customer feedback and of course modify your strategy accordingly. So if you have any questions, please write it down on the chat. We're happy to answer. So, okay, so a strategic access that makes all the difference for our customers is giving the local, so whether it's local people in the shops or maybe even the headquarters. So we're giving you the power to responding to reviews in different ways. So for us, the local teams are the best place to respond to the reviews. And also we need to define together a real strategy in order to increase that. For example, our clients like Volkswagen, Decathlon, Castorama. So we have most of our clients that are using those 4 different ways on answering on part 2, manual mainly for the critical and negative reviews, response templates that are done by us or done together or done by you, the AI generated responses. So this is something you can activate on the reviews, and the automatic responses for all types of reviews. So the various strengths of part 2 support in setting up a review management project. So the first thing is that it's the definition of the organization type. So are we going to give the power to the local to answer the reviews or central, so your main offices? The second thing is the scoping of the project with the teams. So which teams are going to be using those types of this type of tool? So also, it's part 2 is a tool that will help you generate better communication and synergies between teams. The same thing is that we write you response templates, just like I said, but you can also do your own. We give you trainings on the review management. And also, of course, you will have, if you work with us, of course, you will have a customer success manager that will be there to give you quarterly, ad hoc even meetings, follow-ups on KPIs and annual reports that you need in order to analyze your performance. So the most recent reviews are the ones that are read by internet users when choosing an establishment. Okay, so the most recent reviews are very important. You have 45% of internet users that read these reviews first versus negative ones. So I'm sure that all of you are maybe saying that, yeah, negative ones are always the ones showing and that consumers care about, but that's not true. They always see the most recent reviews. And also, it's very important to harvest them regularly and to make sure also to answer them. So now the question is how to collect the reviews. You have several ways of collecting your reviews. Those are the 4 main ones. So the email, the oral request, the SMS, and the QR code. Now, the email is a method that is not recommended by us, because in terms of the open rate and the conversion rate, the index is very low. So in addition, you make waves of reviews requests, so you run the risk of having your listing suspended because Google's algorithm are quite aware of the reviews that are left in bulk. So email is not really the recommendation that we give. The second one is the oral request, so at the cash desk or at the branch. So this is, if you want, the least intrusive method, but it's not very effective, we can say that, if it's only used alone. So customers, they tend to forget about you once they leave the establishment. They just scanned the QR code and they left. So this leaves us kind of with two methods that we recommend to our clients. The first one is SMS. So as we said earlier, the opening rate is excellent, and so is the conversion rate. So for 10 requests, for example, you have on average 5 reviews that are left on your page. So this is actually great, and this is based on our customer analytics. So you have 50%. And the second one is the QR code. So it is the preferred method of 18 to 34 years old. So it's the segment of the population that consumes the most the reviews. So when it's really set to also something that you might want to develop, because the implementation is very simple, and now everyone knows how to use a QR code. So people from all ages, specifically the young generation. So George, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ramia. Yeah, so some more statistics are going to come further, but they're really important to show how strong these points are. Let's move onwards to messages. So what we're talking when we're referring to messages or the conversation commerce. I don't know if you've come across this term. So it's mainly conversations that we're going to have with customers through chatbots or our website or our instant messaging app. So some statistics, 90% of the users or customers prefer to communicate with the business by message rather than calling it. Maybe you have perceived already that the calls to the business are less and less. So it's important to also activate the messaging feature in your Google business listings. 70% of conversations have an impact on the establishing revenue. So purchasing or booking a service or a product. And 80% of the users are willing to buy a product via message. And that's what WhatsApp, for example, is trying to do in some countries currently. Customers are going to be able to experience all the purchasing journey through WhatsApp and also do the payment. So yes, that's a thing to look into if you have some time. Second. So we are the customers through messages are asking for 4 main subjects. Practical information like when are the opening hours through Christmas, like I said before, or is there any parking nearby? Support information like I have an issue with the product I bought, or I don't know how to use the feature of the product I bought. Product and availability. So sometimes when you go to buy the product, you get a message that apologies, this product is not available, and this is frustrating. So it's good to save this. And do you include insurance in my flight, for example? And purchase intention. I guess this is the most important one. So I would like to reserve this model, or I would like to book a meeting for Tuesday. So there are a lot of customers that actually want to buy the product. Imagine not replying to these messages. What image do you give about your business? So there are 3 main strategies that a business can use to manage their messages. This is what the biggest businesses are mainly doing, answer the messages from the global headquarters. And I don't think that this is so efficient, because how can you know exactly the customer culture in, let's say, Germany, if your global headquarters are in the US, or how can you know their actual problems? That's why some businesses are moving to regional management. So decentralize the processes to the regional head countries. And this might work a bit better. But in our opinion, the best thing to do is to go even further and assign the responsibility to each shop individually. This brings a really high quality to the responses, because the customer that sending the message will most probably meet the store manager, or they have already met. So that gives a face to the business, and it shows that people care, and the business cares about their customers in every individual shop. Let's talk about Decathlon. They chose to activate business messages with our help, and the results in 2 years are impressive. 4,500 messages received, 1,000 conversation, and they had a 99.8% answer rate. This helped so much, putting Decathlon on the top 3 of the local pack. And obviously 88.4 customer satisfaction comes after that. It's natural, right? So with Partou's centralized platform, Decathlon could centrally respond to all the messages on time, and that's how they achieved also the answer rate. So we have analyzed some of the conversation received by Decathlon since they use our messages product. And we found that 59% of the conversation initiated by customers are an intention to buy. For example, do you have this specific red football jersey? Or I'm looking for a scooter with these features. When someone is asking so specific information about a product, they have already conducted their research, and they have ended up in your store mainly because of the price, mainly because of the availability of the product in your store. And they're asking if you actually have this available, which means that if the answer is yes, the probability of buying the product from your store is really high. And maybe do you have this specific type of protein, or what other proteins are there? This person most probably is living next to this physical store, so he or she is just easy for them to arrive in the store and just buy the products. So yes. And 22% comes from support. So when a customer is requesting for support, for example, assisting a customer with an order, an appointment, or delays. And finally, the customer dissatisfaction. For example, when someone is dissatisfied, it's really important to manage the damage there and at least answer to their message of dissatisfaction and try to give a reasoning behind it. Let's say some messages of support would be, can I bring my bike? Or I have not received confirmation for my own order, or I ordered the bike that should have arrived in the X date. These answers are really easy to find for you. So it's really easy to also share and important with your customers. And 90% are just informational messages. For example, would you be open this afternoon for me to come by? Or I really like your brand. I really like your products. I would like to be part of your company. Just another one. So advice for a specific product obviously can lead to a purchasing action.
Thank you, George. So maybe just to wrap it up, just quickly. So we spoke about a lot of things today. Maybe if you want to put it in a nutshell and talk a bit about part 2. So we have created a unique tool to manage everything that we discussed, your presence management, so your data on your locations on Google. So you centralize them. We make sure together to help you in the optimization, the cleaning, the verification of your locations on Google, as well as the multi-diffusion that we said. We multi-diffuse your data on 30 platforms that are that have, if you want, the highest domain authority on Google, so that have the highest impact on Google. The second product that also we discussed is the store locator. So we can create a store locator for you. We can optimize it, or we can even synchronize it with Google Maps to make sure that your ranking gets higher than competitors. The third one is, of course, that you can multi-diffuse via part 2 on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google. So all types of posts and news and offers that you have. So it works for all types of industries, of course. And then you have the second tool also that we discussed, the review management, where you centralize all your reviews and you get to, in 4 different ways, to answer your reviews in a very fast and efficient way. This will increase your ranking and your e-reputation. Of course, you can also do a booster of reviews, so in multiple ways, whether the QR codes. So those are things that we can also offer to you. And finally, the messages that we discussed. So centralizing all your messages, getting closer to your clients, and making sure that we have full control of the buying journey and to optimize our chances to increase conversions. So now I think it's time for the questions. So for the Q&A, if you have questions, you can drop it now in the chat. So live answering. So because they need access to the products quickly, what do you recommend for these types of customers? We still see they prefer some competitors over us. Okay. So the first thing we need, so I just need to understand, I mean, this is quite a tricky question because we need to understand a bit also what is the type of product that you're offering. And we need to understand also the competitive advantage. I've sent my question in 3 parts. Just 1 second. George, are you seeing the questions?
Yes, yes. And
I cannot.
Sebnem has sent 3 questions. The first one is, what do you recommend for this type of customers? And yeah, the other one, you can see it on the questions part.
Yes.
The first question is, the current customers of our company are not on TikTok and Snapchat. The only reason we use Instagram and Facebook is to cross-communicate, to be found, etc. So that's the first part. And then they say, our customers are almost every day on the road and on the job. They don't have time to check the social platforms. We created an app for customers to simplify buying products from web shop, physical stores while on the road. What is the industry that which sector are you in, Sebnem? Perhaps that can inform our answer. In the meantime, there are other questions while we wait for him to reply.
Yeah, I think that I cannot read all the questions. I don't know what's the problem. I can see you said ski to provide.
There's a question from Archie, I believe, say from a physical retail background. Yeah.
Yeah, so hi, from a physical retail background. You said it's key to provide the best or most up-to-date information as possible to consumers. Is it worth looking into real-time local inventory feeds? Well, we were talking about, so the data that we were mentioning was mostly specific on maybe the listings that you have on Google, but is it worth looking into real local inventory feeds? It all depends on what you want to provide information. I mean, yes, if you can do that, it would be recommended. But we were talking mostly about the data that consumers need in order to find you. So, George, I don't know if you
Especially if you have a lot of different products and it's challenging for you to keep track of all of them, it will be a good automation solution for yourself as well, not only for the customers, to have a view of what exactly is available and what is not. And if you are B2B and you're going wholesale, this again is going to make your life and your consumers' life easier if you're aware of exact quantity of the products available in your warehouse. So yes, my answer is it's worth looking into a real-time local inventory feeds.
Thank you. So let's get back just to the question of Sebnem, because now I was able to read it. So the current customers of our company are not using TikTok or Snapchat. The only reason why we use Instagram and Facebook is to cross-communicate, to be found. Okay, fair enough. Our customers are almost every day on the road or on the job, so they don't have time to check socials. Okay, we created an app for the customers to simplify buying products from the web shop or physical stores while on the road job. Okay, because they need access to the products quickly. What do you recommend for these types of customers? we still see they prefer some competitors over us. So those are the customers that don't have time technically to check socials. But okay, so something we need to keep in mind today, why is Partout operating mostly on Google and making sure that we're optimizing your visibility on the web, but we're starting from Google, because more than 98% of consumers, okay, are going, they're doing their first search on Google. So if those consumers of yours, Sebnem, are not maybe on Snapchat, on TikTok, etc., today we have to work on increasing your visibility on Google, because automatically today all the consumers are doing at least their first search on Google. So what we recommend is definitely to optimize the listings and the locations that you have. Make sure that the data and optimization is correct. And what you can do as well is to do a push Google posts. That depends if you have different promotions or different product launches. You get to push them in the right and strategic time by also increasing your visibility. So here you're kind of giving the choice of, for them, if they know you. So this is, if you want, if they already know you, they will go directly to your website or to your application. And then if they don't know you, here this is the job where we have to increase your ranking and to make sure that we are posting at the right time to the right consumers in order to maximize your chances of being chosen. Yeah. And this also goes with the e-reputation.
Can I add something to the current question? That you said that your current customers are not using TikTok or Snapchat. But even if they're not using it, Google is appreciating the fact that your information are also in Google, are also in TikTok or Snapchat. So that's our main point here, that in as many platforms you have your information updated, the highest visibility and the highest ranking you're going to receive from Google. And eventually, there are going to be customers coming from Snapchat and TikTok. So it's good to be proactive on this. It's good to work on it from now. And it's good to have these channels open for new customers to come to you as well. So, yeah. That's a bit of an addition.
Yeah, it's the multi-diffusion that we were saying about, because Google is fetching data from multiple, if you want, source of truth. And eventually, in order to trust you and to rank you higher than competitors, it needs to see that your information is diffused on those platforms. Maybe you don't have the manpower, maybe you don't have the time to do that. It's fine. A tool like Partout will centralize everything. In a few clicks, you will be present on all those platforms. Even though today you think your consumers are not using those platforms, Google algorithm will see that and will rank you higher and will make you appear more than competitors. So Benjamin, I think, was the last question. How can we keep consistency in terms of brand guidelines and tone of voice from a store to another when you recommend to manage reviews at a local level? So we have a lot of clients that ask the same question, and for them, I understand, like, I know, Andile, you already answered them. You can give access and you can decide not to give access, okay? It depends on the industries, and it depends on the type of stores and the type of personnel that are in the store. You can decide to centralize all the reviews and answer them to keep your tone of voice and maybe your identity with the reviews. So you can give this power of the review management to your HQ or your main offices. But usually we are seeing a lot of success for specific industries, let's say like pharmacies, let's say like fashion retail industries. So this is where we see that the store managers, or even in banking, so we see that the branch managers are really reactive to the reviews, and we are giving the tools, so the automatic reply, the templates, so they, in one click, they get to answer them. So you can give them just the tools, but you can also give them, if you want, the templates yourselves to manage the tone of voice and make sure that that you optimize it. Do we have any other questions? We're talking about the fusion of companies. We are talking about the fusion of the company's information on TikTok and Snapchat. Actually, our info gets diffused to Snapchat, but I cannot see any diffusion on TikTok. When will Partout offer this? So, I believe this person is a client. or not. I'm not really sure. Can I just, I don't know why I can't see all the questions.
Yes, Christopher is a client, yes.
Okay. So as you may know, Christopher, we on a weekly basis develop the product, and we make sure that we want to diffuse, we want to get more integrations, and we want to do so. At the moment, I cannot give you a specific date on the diffusion of TikTok, but I can tell you that this is something that we are working on, and it's in the current projects. So hopefully in no time, you will get this multi-diffusion. Do we have any other questions? Georgia, I think you have more of a better view of the rest of the questions, because I had trouble with that.
There are no new questions, but if you would like to ask some last questions, will be a pleasure to answer them, because we are also running out of time. So now it's the time.
Yeah.
And of course, keep in mind that we're going to get in contact with you after the meeting to understand more of your needs.
Of course, we can drop, if you want, our emails even in the chat, in case you want to directly reach out with questions, or if you want to set up a quick call, we are happy to do so. So I think no additional.
Ramia is typing a question.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, Andile, you were faster than me. Okay. If no one has additional questions, we're not receiving anything. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. We hope that was insightful. We taught you new things today. And eventually, if you need anything else, please let's connect on LinkedIn. Send me or George an email, and we're happy to answer you for whatsoever. Christopher is typing.
Thank you all, and I hope you will enjoy the festive period and vacation. Have a great day and the rest of the week.
Wish you the best.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.